Back, you're still tuned in to News and Views with myself, Salailo Makwidi. Tensions are once again reaching very, very dangerous levels in occupied East Jerusalem. This is amid growing fears of a major escalation at Masjid Al-Aqsa during one of the most politically sensitive periods on the calendar. There are concerns that are mounting on whether or not there will be an incursion of some sort or an escalation at the Al Aqsa compound today and on Friday. This is coinciding with the Hebrew anniversary marking the occupation. This is, I think, one of the most important conversations that we need to have, considering the fact that Masjid Al Aqsa has been under threat for a very, very long time. And as I mentioned, this comes ahead of a planned settler incursion into the Al Aqsa compound today and Friday, coinciding with the Hebrew anniversary marking the occupation of Jerusalem and the 78th anniversary of the Nakba. The Nakba, the mass displacement of Palestinians that happened back in 1948. And in a very, very concerning move that's drawing international alarm, more than 20 Israeli politicians, including ministers, reportedly signed a petition demanding that the compound be opened to settlers on Friday, a day usually reserved for peak Muslim worship. Juma, and analysts and religious authorities have warned that the developments could represent a significant challenge to the decades-old status quo, governing the site regarded by Muslims as the third holiest place in Islam. There are fears that are coming amid months of heightened tensions and restrictions on Palestinian worshippers because of the quote-unquote war against Iran by Israel and the United States of America. So it's going to be interesting what's going to be happening in the next couple of hours, and to help us unpack the historical, I think the religious and political significance of these developments, and just to give us the feel on the ground on what's really happening out in Jerusalem. We're now joined by Jerusalem-based historian, specialist on the history of Al-Aqsa Mosque, and author Dr. Ehab Jallad, who's joining us via our virtual platform. Dr. Alaikum, so much for joining.
Walaikum assalam. Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And I think we'll jump right into it. There are reports that the rest of the world is getting that Thursday and Friday could be a very, very dangerous time for Palestinians, those that are in Jerusalem, those that are in and around the Al-Aqsa compound. What are these reports all about? Can you give us insight on what's really happening?
Yeah. From our previous experience, from last year especially, we note that there are the settlers' attacks over the people, over the shop, are increasing. Yani, they don't want the people at that day, at the day of the march, to go to their shops. If they had the strength and the the if they wanted to show up their like stand and go there as their like regular life, open up their shops, they're gonna be attacked and they're gonna be insulted by these settlers, whom are mainly youth. Uh, uh, like they are charged with hatred, with dogmas, with the different slogans, in order to show their might, to show their prevalence over the situation, as if they wanted to be a hooligans at that day. In fact, this kind of marching does not represent any kind of civilized activity. Even by Israeli measures, they don't recognize it as showing any kind of memorial things. On the contrary, it is showing only a hooligan activity, like giving the right and like releasing their hands to do whatever they don't do in the daily life or on regular basis.
mm,
It is hot. It's hard days. Tomorrow it's gonna be a hard day. Today is also from the early morning. There are incursions inside the Masjid Al-Aqsa, laying on the ground in hundreds, uh, preventing the people from the Muslim from entering the masjid. The school kids they were released early today. The transportation they were not gonna work as regular. But the most affecting thing, or the most uh, um, that what we feel is that we are cuffed in our
mm,
city. We are not allowed to express our sorrow, because the what is called the unification of the city from side, it is our catastrophe from the other side. It's like a Nakba, or also it is the memory of the 1967 or 1948. It's a sad memory for us. So we
mm,
can't express our own feeling, and we can't show our own stand. On the other hand, we should be locked in our houses and not allowed even to express any kind of democratic right in every like civilized nation and civilized society.
And I think it's very, very important that you make the note that these planned incursions coincide with both the Jerusalem occupation anniversary and also the Nakba commemoration. How symbolically charged is this timing? The fact that you have these two dates coinciding with each other and ultimately going to be a point of reference on the current status quo of how Palestinians and those that are in and around the Masjid Al-Aqsa compound have been suffering for so many years.
Uh, just demanding the Masjid Al-Aqsa to be open on Friday, and have such kind of uh, like very bold uh, request in making the Aqsa free on for them on Friday, which is the most crowded in the week, and the Jummah Friday. It means that they are walking and they are marching toward the collision. They want either to collide with the people, suppress them, or to just make a disaster. And this is what's the intention. So, as it was the catastrophe in 1948, they want to copy it to our days, and what they feel in different arenas, that they think that they can vulgar, and they have long hands. So as it's happening in the neighbor countries, they wanted also in the internal house to do the same, and to show that they are the master and the lord of these areas, regardless
Mm,
of any respect of religious rights, or the people suffering. So altogether, it seems that they are just emulating what happened 78 years ago.
mm, mm. There are reports that are suggesting that senior Israeli ministers and politicians are openly backing calls for settler access on Friday, this upcoming Juma. Would this represent a almost break away from the previous arrangements that were put in place to govern Masjid Al Aqsa?
Yeah, sure. In the past decades, we could see gangs of settlers trying to do the same, but they were not backed by senior officials, or by Knesset or parliament members, or by ministers. But today, we could see that the ministers themselves are involved in such activities, which shows that the state itself is involved, and the police are involved in such activity, which take the things to a very extreme limit.
mm,
That they might apply whatever they warn and whatever they are planning. So in the past, we could hear a lot of like warnings and yellings and just shoutings. But today, this could be a law. This could be regulated by the government, by the police, and that might happen. So it's not like the past. Today, they can make any kind of violation. They can make it as a lawful thing by voting in the Israeli parliament, and then can be protected by the police itself.
mm, mm, mm. There's a phrase that they're using in these conversations. They're talking about changing the status quo. That's the phrase that's being used quite repeatedly. What exactly is the status quo at Al-Aqsa right now, and why is it so sensitive?
The status quo, it's a very like very rough term. It's vague, not clear, because it used to be, it used to mean that the Muslims are allowed to pray in the Masjid Al-Aqsa. Jews are allowed to visit, but not to pray. This
Mm,
what does it mean? It's that the Aqsa is open for everyone. The Aqsa is open for everyone, but the right
mm,
for prayer was solely for the Muslim. But today we see that the right for Jews to pray is now protected, or they are claiming that they have a right also to pray in the Masjid Al-Aqsa. If we come to the Israeli court, since the 70s, Israeli judge, they gave a verdict saying that there is nothing to prevent the Jews from praying in the Masjid Al-Aqsa. So
mm,
in Israeli courts, they already breaking the status quo, but the police used make his own kind of status quo, which means that they don't want kind of triggering things. But there is no law. There is no kind of particular understandings as far as I searched and tried to look out for any kind of written status quo. It is a kind of understandings from by time that we don't do this, you don't do that. But there is nothing written, and there is nothing being assured of. And that changed. Every time they said we are following the status quo, but if we are following the status quo, why there is an escalation in the incursions in the Masjid Al-Aqsa? If there is a status quo ever was, so why there are also many changes in in preventing the people from entering the Masjid Al-Aqsa from one side, and letting the Jews praying the Masjid in the Masjid Al-Aqsa, and raising the Israeli flag. So is it part of the status quo? They don't say no. It's we did not break the status quo. So what is the status quo then? So no
mm.
one can tell you what kind of status quo they are speaking about.
Mm, 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 mm. What are the conversations that Muslims are having at this current moment regarding Juma prayers? Are people talking about going to the mosque? Are people talking, planning to stay away maybe? Because we've seen these recurring tensions around Al-Aqsa over the years, and historically, they've even went as far as triggering just wider regional unrest. What are the conversations that are being had right now?
The people, even in Corona time and COVID, even in when there was missile being rocketed. Uh, they always insisted to pray either in Masjid Al-Aqsa or close to the Masjid Al-Aqsa. But the number of people who are insisting to have such a stand are not the majority, in fact. Uh,
Mm,
so if there are some blockage, we are afraid that the number praying in the Masjid Al-Aqsa are going to be much less than usual. Maybe they gonna block the streets tomorrow in a different zones, in a different crossing sections, and that will delay and يعني prevent the people. يعني many people will come on walk, but not the elderly, not the lame people.
Mm,
So that gonna affect. So the police tomorrow will play a major role in decreasing the number of people, because they are not willing to have some kind of tension. Because obviously when the Muslim coming to Masjid Al-Aqsa and the Israeli settlers are marching in the city, they're gonna be a kind of tension, and that's gonna make a harder job for the police. Therefore, they're gonna block the streets, and they will not let the people march freely to the Masjid Al-Aqsa.
Lastly, before I let you go, Doc, the message to the wider Muslim Ummah across the world, those that are here in South Africa, regarding Masjid Al-Aqsa, anything that you like to say to them, because they are listening right now and they're very, very concerned about the developments that are coming out.
Uh, You Muslim, you of South Africa especially, we are missing you. You used to be in the masjid at these events. It used to fill the city, even if you are not allowed, even if there are some obstacles. That you will got the reward. You will have much more reward when you come in harder times. We
Mm,
want you because we want the city to be full of the people. When the Muslim come and stay in the hotels in the old city, there is no need for them to cross the streets. There is no need for them to use their vehicles. They are on foot. So even if there are some blocking of the streets, they're gonna be freely marching in the city, and they can at least show their existence. They're showing their presence. They showing their link to the Masjid Al-Aqsa and devotion to the Muslim cause, because our Masjid Al-Aqsa cause is not a local issue. It is for all Muslim, and for everyone who believes that the Masjid Al-Aqsa is part of their belief, and they should be with us in these hard times.
And tomorrow is also a very, very important day, as mentioned, beginning of the interview. It's a commemoration of the Nakba. What's the feeling and the sentiment around tomorrow's day, considering also, what we've been talking about, the fact that there are planned incursions?
In the past, we used to march to visit different like depopulated villages around Jerusalem. There are 40 villages being destroyed, demolished, depopulated since Baba in 1948, and we used to commemorate the event by visiting these villages. But with such closures, we are not able to go there. And with such closure, with different activity, we will not think of the Nakba, because we are having extra Nakba. We have a double
Mm,
Nakba today. So with the increase of different problem over our heads, we can't just focus on the past. We need to maintain our presence in the present, and to enhance it for the future. We need to maintain our own mosque and to prevent it from being taken from our hands. So with such an events, we barely be able to think about the past. We need
mm.
to protect our present.
No, most definitely. It was a pleasure having this conversation with you, Dr. Jalad, and I hope we can chat again soon. And
Amin.
we'll be thinking and praying for you here in South Africa.
Jazakumullah khair, and thank you, and for all the audience.
I mean, that was
Mm.
Jerusalem-based historian and Al-Aqsa specialist and author, Dr. Ehab Jallad, speaking to us about mounting fears of escalation at Masjid Al-Aqsa. This is coming amid planned settler incursions and growing concerns over the future of the site's long-standing status cool. So we'll be following the story quite closely, especially what might happen tomorrow, being Juma and also being Nakba Day and also being the settlers, well, commemorating the fact that they are settlers. So all of that will be culminating, coming together tomorrow, and we'll be following the events of Jerusalem quite closely. So continue to follow us on our various social media pages to get the latest out of Jerusalem. Otherwise, you're still listening to News and Views on Salam Media. Stay with us. We'll be back after this.